Right, here we are, episode 4 of the CHC Podcast, and no better crowd than the Crooks. Ken, I tried to get you in yourself, but these boys had to tag along for some reason, so I'll try and get a few stories of these boys. We'll start off. Now, this is a story where I think about, I'd say once a week I think about this. Easily. I'm at work, I'd go to grab my keys, where I'd grab them. Remember that. So, Dan, forgetting the car keys. Start us off, where were we?
This is bad now because this is all, before now this is just a story, like, now it's going to be on tape forever. Like,
everybody knows about it though.
They do, to be fair, but before it could have been a myth, now it's official, like, recorded for the rest of the time.
So where were you?
Which story is this? Because there's quite a few.
Now this is one.
You go down this road.
I've heard a lot of this.
I can write a book here.
Now, we'll stop. Dan's a very well educated guy.
Yeah,
sometimes you just switch off.
Get that out, it's good and early.
There's the odd time you just switch off. This is one of those times.
I've also came a long way since then. This is a long time ago. Like,
that was a learning curve.
We were playing Garvey in the EY, I guess, and we went to Asda to meet. And I was jumping into Puzzy's car, so I hopped out on my own, hopped in, arrived down to Garvey, opened the boot, no hockey bag. Great. So phone Ken,
Old dad, like, yeah.
who's coming up the road behind me to watch. So that was okay. I went in, like, I clamped it to the change room and was sitting in my trousers and everybody else is in the shin guards and stick, like, I had nothing, like, other than what I was wearing, like, no stick, no kit, anything. So needless to say, I had a stormer that day. I'm sure my head was up my bum for half of it, like. And then
No, we get a phone call halfway down the motorway, and saying, have you left yet? Like,
yeah.
And I was saying, well, we have. Like, what's the problem?
So played a blinder that day, I'm sure. Got back to Asda car park, and then somebody left me home. I can't remember who left me home. Whether it was probably Pudzy because he had driven me, and I got back.
Left you to your home.
Yeah.
out our house.
Drove me back into Claggin, like, and I sauntered into the kitchen, and the first thing Dad says was, "Where's your car?" I said, "Oh crap!" It's at Asda. So he was doubly crossed at this point. Drove back into Asda, and I went to hop into my own car, and I had no keys. Forgot my car keys.
So you got back to Asda, no car keys.
Yeah.
Had to then go back.
Did we must have
No,
went
this is
back
meaningless.
a good day.
He rang me when we were on the way down the road, so I had to turn and go out home to get the spare keys, to get the kit out of the car.
Yeah,
to
I
bring it
was
together.
that was an extra part of it.
So that was. So it didn't just end with him not having the kit or the keys. Like, there was just a triple whammy. Like,
Yeah.
but that's
Wasn't the
we
only
can
one, like.
write a book here.
You can. It's just like Dad can show a bit of red there. Like, I think a few of those things just.
I can't
send a
imagine
bit of
but
red.
even that would get me.
No, I'd worry.
This entire podcast could be Darren stories. Like, frankly, it's not.
You said there pretty much about Ken going down to watch. Ken, you've just non-stop, you're in every game. Flip that on the side. Ken playing. Any memories of you boys watching him growing up?
I don't. I do.
Yeah, well, I remember being in primary school and going to the twos games with Stephen Sloan to watch, because with Ken and our Dad and Marty, and we went to most of those games. But you're probably that young that you don't remember exactly what the game was about. You were just itching to get on at half time to hit a ball about with Stephen.
Right.
That's what we want to do. We just want to get onto the pitch and hit a ball about. I remember we were going down. We got to sit in the dugouts, which was cool. So we were P6, P5, P6, and then got to sit in the dugouts and listen to the team talks. But I remember one time we were down at, remember Garvey maybe, whenever thingy fell? We were down at Garvey.
Is this old Garvey down Blair?
Down at Blair's, and me and Stephen were sitting in the dugout, and Scotty was playing for. Greg asked me to talk about you, but I'm talking about Scotty. Scotty was at the far side of the pitch playing left back and went on this bomb and run and fell right in front of the clubhouse, like the loveliest slip you ever seen. And me and Stephen erupted in the dugout, and I remember both you and Marty shouting over to us, "Mark, Stephen, don't be laughing." But it was just the loveliest. It's like something on ice. Like, he just went right on his back, and we giggled. But in turn, no, watching Dad, yeah, I remember just him be it from that age, and then eventually end up playing on the same team as him as well.
Yeah. You're like, it was a hockey house. It's the same as us. Growing up, just hockey. I remember even the front living room. We used to it was a lovely carpet, perfect for the dregs. I remember my mum cleaned the pictures one day and sprayed and wiped. There's no glass on it. We just broke every picture in the place. We hadn't told her, we glued every ornament together. Was that similar to use hockey out the back, probably out in that grass bit, was it?
Hockey out the back, but I wasn't mad at the same time. Like, we played football. Like, I played football for a while. Like, it wasn't hockey the whole time. Like, Mum tried to keep a wrap on it, especially. Like,
she still would sort of call order when we talk about hockey all the time. We're not talking about hockey, we're talking about football. And if we're not watching hockey, we're watching football on TV. Like, so it's that sort of house. But probably wasn't a lot of hockey played at home.
Well,
no. It was a bit at times, but it was more football in the summers and stuff.
Yeah, but like we still started early. Like, I started mini hockey 2 or 3 years younger than you're allowed to start or whatever, because Linda Black was okay with it. Like, so we definitely were playing. Like, and there's that wee photo of you and Stevie Sloan in the back of the paper, and you're super young, both of we stick in your hand.
That was opening of the sand base.
Oh, why?
They were pictured at that.
I remember a story. Is this right? A parachuter hit the fence.
That's right. No, we played in Ireland 11 to open the sand base, and there was a parachutist, and he smashed into the fence.
Hey, where was he meant to land?
Well, he was supposed to land in the middle of the pitch or something. Probably bring a match ball or something. So we had to go and rescue him first.
That's a good start to the opening of the sand base, like.
Taking him off the fence
before the game could be played.
Fitting start, like.
Yeah.
We'll go to debuts and stuff. I always talk to anyone who comes on the debut. Do you remember your debut for the club, Ken?
I don't. The one I was doing a bit of research before I came here, because I'm rubbish at dates and stuff. What I thought was my debut was away to Civil Service on the grass,
right?
And that would have been 1972. And I found a book of newspaper clippings, and there were a whole lot of high school stuff. McCullough Cups and Burnley Cups and stuff. And then there were clippings of me playing for the twos. Yeah. Which I didn't even remember. But then I think my first 11 debut was at Civil Service on the grass.
Right.
I mean, Gordon Donaghy would have been captain there. And you had people like Gibby Richardson and Davy Black, Stephen Hamilton, Bobby Hamilton, Wally Marlin, Colin Burns would have played. Yeah. You know, that's Boyd Miller, I think, was in that as well. So
it's a cracking team.
But that, playing on the grass at Civil Service. In those days, I remember Eddie Ferguson buying a Chingford hockey stick.
Right.
And this just was the best thing ever. Everybody wanted a Chingford, and it came in a box, like. And I wanted
carved and all.
I wanted absolutely. It was incredible. But it was and it had a white towel and grip on it. Oh. So playing on the grass.
That's not going to last long.
At Civil Service with a white towel and grip, like, wasn't the best start. But no, Chingford hockey sticks. And those days there was none of this Indian head stuff.
Yeah.
It was chunky. I don't know what it was like. It was like a nice hockey stick, more like.
You say the grass. I remember when we went over to Australia, and they said, "Oh, you teach the young ones. They're under 13 or something." And I was like, "Yeah." And I rocked up to the water basin. It was the women were training something. Like, no, we take them in the grass. Not a problem. So me and Owen McGee, we rock out. Like, right, bit of push passing. I was like, right, bit of slapping. I turned around and every stick was just catching the grass. I was like, right, onto the hip. I'm not up for this grass coach. Not a clue. I was just lump it forward. Like, you're saying your memory's not great to the games there. Now I've heard a few stories. The promotion to Senior 1.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest thing. I mean, I remember us coming down. It was ourselves, Annandale and Queens, I think, were all in the hunt for this promotion place. And I remember we were at Coleraine at the time, Coleraine University. It must have been one of the few days we were there, because we didn't go very often. But I remember coming down the road from Stafford to play Annandale at Annandale.
Yeah.
and basically whoever won it was going up. And we beat them 2-1. Billy Lorimer scored the winner. That's Keith's brother scored the winner. And all of the other people, Ronnie Smith would have been playing for them at that stage, and Lanny Milne, and there's a big fella, I think it was Alan Johnson, a big centre forward, he scored loads of goals. But we beat them 2-1. In fairness to them, they had a big slap up meal booked, and I think it was the Erigal on the road, because they thought they were going to win it. So they told us to go and have the meal because they weren't.
They weren't going.
No, they weren't celebrating.
Worked well for you.
Yeah, so it worked out well for us. But no, that was obviously a big game. That was us into Senior 1 for the first time.
Is that the first time the club actually won?
Yeah, and that was 75.
And then
and Eddie Ferguson was captain at that time. He was captain in that side.
And then how long did they go back down then?
No, that was it. Once they got up, that was it. Up. Yeah, so that was 75, and they.
So that's pretty much been Cookstown. I know, bar the EY league, but being in that top league of Ulster since.
Yeah.
That was massive then for the club to get.
That was a big game.
Because you've seen clubs that say go down and then they just struggle, and then they just stay in that league, or they go down further, and then that club disappears. Like that. That's massive for the club to get in there and then continue with it. But then that's where the club's success started. Then from that team that you had mentioned.
Yeah, that stage we had a very good schoolboy team around that time. Yeah, because I think we had four Irish internationals in the one school year. You had Raymond Atchison and Gareth Graham, myself, Colin Burns. We're all playing at that time, so there was a group of players coming through sort of at the same time, and then with the Bobby and Stephen who weren't that much older, but it was a good group again coming through. I
remember, I think it was Stevie Hammond always telling me, or Bobby Hammond always said, when I was up knocking about in the pitch, they always said that when we came up to hit, how we got so accurate at shooting, I used to always try and hit the post. Right. He says that's what I used to always do. He used to always try and hit the post, and I was just like, right. So after that, I kept trying to hit them, just kept going wide every time. I was like, I need to stop that. Just hit the middle of the goal.
Just scored, Greg.
Just
ball back. Just score a goal.
I think our first season up, Bobby was one of the top goal scorers in the Ulster League, and I think he was picked for the Ulster senior squad on the back of that.
Because even Les counts my goals. It was over 200, and all the boys were saying like, "Oh, who'd be close to you?" And boys were just saying, "Oh, you're nowhere near Bobby." Like, and I was like, "Oh, right, okay, here we go."
Yeah, and Stephen. Steve, you couldn't get the ball off Stephen.
Yeah,
Stephen was so skillful.
Quick hands.
He was serious skillful. But then the two of them would have fought. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But no, that was so. The first league game then. The first league game was against Antrim up here on the bottom pitch.
Yeah.
I was captain that year, so we arrived up to play Antrim in the game, and we arrived up and there were 3 helicopters parked on the pitch.
Right.
So you hear about people announcement to come and move your car because your car's not like. But
giving the registration of the helicopters.
Yeah, so I had to go down to the police station and just say, look, would you mind moving your helicopters because there's a match in here.
That's mental.
Yeah. So that was the first.
There's a good few stories of things like that. I remember even down at Mosley, was it Malcolm, golf balls being. Malcolm went down one time in the D, went down holding the knee. Somebody clipped a golf ball across the pitch. And then there's another one. I remember Les telling me there was somebody just taking pot shots with an air rifle and caught one of their players down the window.
Gee whiz.
So there's a few stories you got there now. You go on, and I remember hearing about this and I couldn't believe it. You then took a year out to play football.
Yeah.
Now when was this?
That was 1982. Again, I was jacking some of these things before I came in because I couldn't remember. Apologies, probably still have some of this wrong. But no, I decided I played a lot of enjoyed the summer football, street league. Every year you played the street league and played for the Blue Circle and you played for Wright's Dairies and the Royal Hotel and so on. So. And then when the hockey sort of finished, I would have played a bit of sort of end of season stuff for Coke United or whoever, and I was always sort of tempted to take a season and just play football and see just for something different.
Yeah.
so I decided to give it a go, and that was 82.
So you were what, like, what do we figure it out as?
28 or something.
Yeah.
So I played football. Yeah, I enjoyed it. You're going different places, obviously, and I played at Newry Town, and I played at Dundela, and I played at.
You nearly played at Windsor.
Well, that's the story, and that's the next bit. We played at Brandywell. There was a team called Oxford United Stars played at Brandywell up in Londonderry, so we played there. But one of my biggest disappointments probably in sport throughout all the years was we played a team called Roe Valley from Limavady.
Down Limavady.
Yeah, and this was in the Irish Cup, and we drew with them down in their place. So back to Cookstown out at Drapersfield, and we were leading 2-1. It was on the blow, like it was over, and. Somebody gave away a penalty. I'm not saying it wasn't me, but we gave away a penalty and they scored 2 each. And went to the third game. We played down in Tobermoor, and we lost. I think we lost 4-2 or something midweek, and down in Tobermoor. And Roe Valley drew Linfield away.
Oh, that'd have been a nice one.
In the next round of the cup, like so. I wouldn't have cared if we'd lost.
No.
10-0
Just
to play at Windsor Park. It would have been brilliant.
So what made you come back to hockey then?
I was always, I just needed to get football out of my system, I suppose. And the funny thing was, I was teaching in Rathfriland. I was living in Banbridge, just across the road from the hockey ground. And I was going down there to train with them on a Monday and a Thursday, so I was training with the Banbridge boys and trained there pretty much all year. And again, not many people know this here probably, but I actually joined Banbridge. I was picked for Banbridge to play a league game. Norm McGladdy was the captain, and there were people like McGladdy and Cinnamon and Colin Alistair and John Bell.
Right.
Who and Banbridge were a big side, and I was training with them, and Joe McKnight and people like that there. And I knew probably you were in the clubhouse after training and stuff, and we were chatting and Norm McLaren basically asked me one night would I play for Ban, because the year I was away playing football, Cookstown won the league.
They were hoping you weren't coming back.
Well, I reckon. If I go back there, I'm not going to get on. They won the league without me. So there's no way. After me disappearing for a year, there's no way they're going to let me. I'm not going to get back onto the side again. So I sort of said, I thought about it, and I said, yeah, that's okay. And I was picked to play on the Saturday. I don't remember who it was against, but I went home and I just couldn't sleep. I just thought, no, this is wrong. Once I said it, it just was wrong.
Yeah.
And I had a ring. I rang Norman McLaren the next day, and I said, look, Norman, I can't do this. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And he was great. He just said, look, don't worry about it. Keep coming out of training. If that suits you, come on ahead. There's no problem. No work. No harm done. So that was the end of it.
And why was it wrong?
No, I just
didn't feel right.
No, I just didn't feel right. I'm still a Cookstown. I was always going to be a Cookstown man, and the thought of playing for Banbridge against Cookstown that just didn't feel right. And say once I'd said it, just immediately it was wrong. One of those things it sounded okay till you
tried to say it loud.
Yeah, so it didn't last. It only lasted not even 24 hours.
Not even.
No, and he was great about it. I mean, it was good. It was fine.
And then you came back, played a good few years. Then I played a good few seasons. I think I maybe played 4 seasons with you then, probably at the twos.
Yeah.
I was in and out then. I was in the twos for a good few years, and then I was in and out, up with the ones and back down, fluctuated quite a bit. But all I remember about the twos was that junior cup runs we had. We were so close every year. I think we got to 3 semi-finals in a row, and we should have won every semi-final.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think Garvey basically. I was sitting down on the way in. I remember playing one down at Garvey, and we were winning again. Really, really close to the end of the game, and they equalised. Don't even remember what happened. I think we missed a stroke somewhere along the line as well, and we had extra time, and this big, tall, ginger-haired fella came on for Garvey in extra time, and scored 3 or 4 goals, and that was Dan Clark.
Oh
He
my
was
goodness.
just breaking into the thing. So that finished that. But I think we lost to we lost to Garvey a couple of years.
Yeah.
Who else did you lose to?
The years I was there, Annandale beat us
Yeah.
a good few times. They were on the up.
Yeah, they won.
You were in Annandale.
That was the day
up in the sand-based.
Pep punched.
Yeah,
Aye.
that was a
That's
bad
right.
one.
It was bad.
So
We lost to Glenanne
we lost to Glenanne.
in a semi, and
Yeah.
we lost to Cork in a
Yeah.
semi up there as well.
It's funny because the amount of things we have won with the ones with the school and all, that's one of my biggest regrets of
Yeah.
not winning the junior. Like, it's a junior cup,
It's a crazy good team.
but
like.
that's still just, even
Yeah.
now I'm down playing twos and I've just the sights in the junior cup. I'm just like, that's the one I want.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think it's just because of those years we just kept.
As well, and the Cookson haven't.
Have
Yeah.
they won?
Well,
Yeah,
Have
the
they
funny thing
won
is,
one or none?
the funny thing is, they won a couple way back with Bobby and
Oh, did
Stephen
they?
and,
Oh, I thought they never
Willard.
won it.
Willard and those boys, Trevor Morrow and so on. Because
Oh,
they
I thought
won.
they
I
were.
think they won one in Banbridge.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that Dan's team
Yeah.
got to the final.
And Stevie
played
played that as
Corinthians.
well.
Played
aye.
that as well.
That's right, we were down
and
watching.
Sturdy came home from England. Sturdy Smith came back,
Yeah.
and Paul Thompson played.
Yeah.
And,
And that was like nowhere near as good a team as the team that you got all those
No.
semis with.
and they should have won it because
Yeah.
they were 2-1 up again.
It went to Strokes, didn't
Went
it?
to Strokes because they're beating Ban and Strokes in the semis.
Uh-huh.
A good strong band side, and should have won that one. That was against Corinthians.
Yeah. Well, there's a rumour that their only second 11 player playing that day was the captain, but I don't know if that's true or not. That's what we heard after the game.
Yeah, but that was always the case. The junior cup playing against the southern side of the junior
Yeah,
cup
they always
was a
loaded them.
disaster.
Always, it was a disaster.
Oh, it's it was just they just played their first 11. You know.
Yeah, but that twos team that we were in, it was just you, Marty, Foo, and then just a bunch of us young boys, and it just we needed that
First class.
structure as well.
That was great fun. I mean,
Yeah.
after coming down from the first, those were great years.
Yeah.
On that side, because all you young boys were coming up.
Yeah,
Right, coming up through, and you boys and Stephen Sloan and
Yeah.
you had Timmy and Sturdy
Yeah.
and
Tom.
Bestie,
Tomos
and,
in there
it was
as well.
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah.
It was just so
that's
much
I
fun.
kind of. You pretty much said it was so much fun. It was. We just went from school hockey in the morning into the twos, and then you'd maybe stay on if you're lucky to sub for the ones. It was just so enjoyable to
Yeah.
play, and the standard was so high as well.
Yeah.
Even in the team, I remember even struggling, getting dropped from the ones and struggling to make the twos. I remember thinking,
Literally.
"Hey, here we go."
No,
but-
it was good. I mean, Marty played and Marty coached
Yeah,
at the same time. And he
Yeah.
took there's no
fair.
nonsense. Like it was no nonsense. If you weren't doing something right, you were told. All of us.
Oh, aye.
We all got told.
it's one thing I always learned with Marty. Marty's brilliant to find me in behind a player. That's when I started to actually do the in behind runs. I played a player front mark me. I loved that. Marty was so good at just picking the ball. Thomas Hutch again.
Aye.
I do one dummy and Thomas Hutch is the ball pinged to where I want it. And
Yeah.
he was so good at that.
But that team did win leagues though.
We won
Yeah,
the
I
league
think
3
we
in a
won-
row.
We won the
Yeah.
league, like
Three in a row?
three or four in a row.
Yeah.
So hard to do.
It was
like.
very early on though I discovered in that team, I remember really early on, calling Dad you had the ball and calling Dad, I'm on. And then I remember you coming to me at half time and being like, you can't do that. You don't call me Dad. Call me Kenny, but not Dad. So
Now, you hadn't come up at this stage up through. Was there was a stage where you could have played together, or have you played all in the one team?
No, that's a story as well.
we had planned to.
Now, who was this for?
I didn't know this story.
Was this for the ones because Ken was coming up?
No, that's the way.
Ken, you were being dropped.
No, I had
Was
sort
it
of-
fives?
Yeah,
Aye, 4s or 5s.
4s or 5s, I think.
I had this idea that before I stopped playing, I would like to play with
Yeah.
the two of them. I'd played with Daniel a couple of times for the fives, and I played with Mark obviously in the twos and stuff.
Yeah.
And I sort of thought, well, before I stopped playing, I would like to play with the two of them in the one game. So we had this all set up to play at home against don't know who.
Don't know.
But for the 4s or 5s, and on the Friday night, these two boys were horsing about.
my birthday next day.
Right.
I don't know anything about this. This is a new story to me. I can't remember this.
Shut it out of your mind.
I just did not.
chose to forget.
I did not remember this at all.
They were horsing about in the room somewhere, and Mark gave Dan a dead leg or made him on the
tailbone, and he like
Tailbone.
wished me a happy birthday. He's like, happy birthday, Dan, and he stuck his knee in my tailbone.
I don't know.
Like I couldn't walk.
So Saturday morning he just couldn't move, so he wasn't playing. So that was that destroyed. And next thing then, Mark was called up to play for the team up above. Well, he shouldn't have been for the Vibes anyway.
Aye.
So he was called to play somewhere else. So I
It must have been the ones.
ended up
Aye.
playing the match with
And
one goal.
yourself.
So the plan just didn't work out.
And it hasn't happened since.
No,
Not too late.
No.
Aye, not too late.
I thought we did play one. There's a photograph of the three of us
Yeah, but
together.
I think we just got the photograph taken.
Well, we were talking about earlier on though, and
I do remember being very briefly on the pitch with the both of you for the Fives.
might have been.
You were maybe umpiring.
No, I was wearing a kit. I was umpiring with a kit on.
You can
I don't know.
You probably are.
I maybe it was.
Sticking all out.
The gum shield in. I don't know. I thought we did, but maybe we didn't.
And then you, that would have been nice. And then you pretty much went to the ones, and that was you for. I know you've been playing ones.
Yeah, what was your debut?
Debut was the Nigel Cheevers, just probably a good,
Lot of boys.
Yeah. No, tell a lie. Actually, it was a league game at home against Inst. It was the time. It was after Timmy got
After the
everybody
Kirk
sick.
Cup and everyone gets sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we played Inst at home, and everybody was sick, so I was called up. Because I remember Paddy Brown playing, and he was Ireland captain at the time. And I remember going. It was a weird. I did two strange things in that match. Well, maybe one stranger than the other, but I remember going along the end line and beating Paddy Brown. And I remember so clearly thinking to myself, "Oh my goodness, I've skinned Paddy Brown."
Of course you would.
Of course I did. And I ran straight off the pitch. And no part just gave a hit out. So I remember that. And I remember doing a very uncharacteristic thing as well of picking the ball up around the halfway line and seeing somebody out in the right wing and chucking an aerial.
Standard thing for you to do.
Standard. And I went to the boys' stick, so I was a debut. I remember those two things. It was instant home.
That's a decent debut.
You,
But yeah.
when you then cement your place in the ones you were playing up front, were you? You were
Yeah.
right wing.
Yeah.
Do you remember who you were trying to take there? Whose place?
I'm bad at remembering these things too.
Wasn't even me, was it?
No. The forwards around that time, there was the two of us. There was
G. Cuddy, Sturdy.
Sturdy. Johnny played a bit up front at that
I
time.
think Andy Barber might have been up a few times.
Yeah. But that time at the time of when I was trying to break in,
Yeah.
like we had a serious. There was
Yeah,
serious
it's-
competition. I even think Mickey and stuff was there.
Yeah.
Like there was a serious bit of competition for that.
But you then, and it's the same as myself, I somehow went from a forward and have dropped into midfield. The past 5 years, you've been pretty much midfield.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, that's where you should be playing. Like,
Well, yeah. Well, I always thought I was a right back, but I remember one pre-season. I think I'd been away with a team in the summer, and I remember getting a text from Hexie
yeah,
saying, "Right, Cookie, big season for you.
yeah.
You're going to be the centre forward. You're going to be this big pressing forward, and you're going to score a bag full of goals." And I remember getting this text and being like, "This is it. I'm the new centre forward, and I'm going to lead the line and score a load of goals." And within 2 or 3 weeks, I was asking to drop back into midfield. Like I don't know. Maybe I think about it too much, and I didn't score enough goals or whatever. But I always thought that midfield was maybe you're a bit more involved and all that.
Yeah, when you think you're a bit wasted up front with your main strength is your engine, like you just run for days. Like you're quick, but your fitness is just different level. That's the main thing. Like if your one skill that boys still don't read is that right to left drive. Like a training I know you're doing, I still can't get near you. I go over here and all can't get there. Still can't get it. But as soon as you do that, you're just away. You're the type of player that I can see just keep going and going and going, as you get older, you'll just keep going and keep playing at that level.
Yeah.
Is that something you plan?
Yeah, I want to play as long as I can. Like, I did a year in England, and I came home from England, I would say, carrying a wee bit of holiday weight.
How was you stopping every morning for the...
That was the Gregs or the Barra Galaxy. But I remember just thinking that summer, right, just get fit and see how fit you can become, and then it's sort of become a thing that I've sort of tried to contain. But it's the amount of things that you can do so much more when you're fit. You can do so much more.
I was actually saying the back of the other day about, she's like, oh, do you get nervous? And I don't get nervous for any games. I just take it very chill. It's only hockey. When you win like that, the only time I feel nervous is if I don't feel fit.
Aye.
Or if I'm playing against somebody and I'm like, this guy's much fitter than me. That's when I start getting the butterflies of, no, I don't know how this is going to go. Dan, you remember your debut?
Yeah. Again, like, I had a decent Nigel Cheevers. I think it was maybe the first year that Holcomb come over.
Yeah.
And decent, I mean, like, Middleton only scored 3 against me, not 6. Like,
was that your debut?
No, that wasn't my debut.
That's harsh.
It was Ents or somebody else who got that tournament, but Holcomb were at that same weekend. It wasn't my debut wasn't against Holcomb, like, but I had a decent Chivsies, and then got a start for a Kirk Cup game home to Annandale. Me and Manny Rollins, and I think I remember getting the ball at like left back area with my back facing towards where I need to go, panicking, bad first touch, and try to ship her back into Matty, and like missed him by about 15 yards, and it slapped off a wooden board at the end of the pitch, and Cuddy just yanked me straight off.
I was probably giving him the same.
That was me for a month, like.
Stevie.
No, I didn't think I got on for about 4 weeks after that. It was bad.
It's harsh up there.
So my debut was pretty miserable. Like, after about 10 minutes.
I said to a few people, there was one summer you boys went away and you came back and you were a different player. You went into centre back.
Yeah.
You beefed up a bit, the pace on the ball. You got fitter. Was that intentional? Did you go in and think, right, I want to give this a go here?
I remember there definitely being like an exaggerated video by you saying Bambi's doing the weights. I remember that. You really give it a bit though.
Get back pumped.
A guy, like, I always saw myself and still do as a centre back rather than a left back or right back, and I suppose whenever I was trying to break into the team, there were still a load of good forwards ahead of me at that time, so you take what you get, you play wherever you can, and that meant that I was often finding myself at left back and right back, filling gaps for boys, giving boys breaks and stuff, and wouldn't be much of an attacker, like, which you need to be at either full back position, definitely at right back. So I definitely feel more comfortable at centre back, like with keeping the ball and all that sort of stuff. But it took me a few years to break into it properly. There was
a game I remember, I think it was Pembroke, and you played centre back, and you were incredible, man of the match, and then you seem like the type of player, once you get that confidence, you keep going, and as soon as you played that Pembroke game, man of the match, it was like the next 7 or 8 weeks you were just very, very good. You weren't...
Was it EY?
I'm happy enough in playing centre back and marking a man and tackling him or intercepting it and giving it to somebody better than me, and that's my game basically, like. So
the team now, the one's very good. You've that now. Like the time I ended up, I was old v young, and I turned around, you were in the old team, and I was just like, I was always there, and I was thinking, my goodness, these boys have now stepped up. And there's that younger crop coming through. It's when we were there, when I was still playing, you were the young boys coming through, and you were kind of set. You can see now these boys are taking charge in the way it should be. So I'm actually looking forward to watching this season.
There's a nice blend.
We're getting there. Like, I think it's taken us a few years to realise, like, there's a limit in how good we are, basically. Like, some weeks we rock up and we think, we're going to walk over this team, like, and then we remember, hold on, we need to be pretty much our best if we're going to beat anybody here. But like
whenever,
you said,
whenever we are on it, like, we can really be on it. Like,
we're looking better,
you know. But there's a nice blend at the minute between us older ones, you and all included in that, and then, you know, the younger boys coming through, Max and Jack, you know, they're all...
No, it's exciting now. Even under 13s and the 15s and stuff with good crop of players.
Yeah.
And like Ken, you said earlier, there's a good school group come through. It's the same as us when we won our Irish schools. It's good.
Yeah.
You get that. It's going to go like that.
I know.
But Ken, you any game that I've been playing first with Cookie, you're there watching. I don't think there's many games that you've missed now.
No, I've gone to everything. I mean, right, even from back to school days.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have gone. I very often went on the bus with the team because they they needed help probably to even look after a team.
Yeah.
So I would have gone with the under 13s, 15s, whatever, and actually I've been taking the first. So obviously then I was taking the whatever team these boys were on.
Yeah.
I went everything right through the school games.
Yeah.
Biggest regret again, well, not a big regret, was the All Ireland schools, because you boys, the year you won it,
Yeah.
I was in school. I wasn't able to get down.
Were you not?
I was
You missed
in the Fryland, and I remember Brian Tom on the phone to me, and I was standing in the assembly hall. It must have been near the end of the school. I don't know when it was, but I was standing in the school assembly hall, and Brian was giving me a commentary of the last few minutes, and you were winning.
Yeah.
And I mean, Brian was just so excited, and there I was, 100 miles away, listening to this commentary of you boys about to win the Irish schools.
Yeah.
That's tough.
But it was after going to everything. Because I even remember getting out of school in Armagh to go and watch you boys playing in the wee primary school.
The wee
Pearson Cup.
Pearson Cup games.
Aye.
Because you were playing against the Armstrong and Armagh one day. And
Beat them.
I got you go out of school
Go
to
and
nip
watch it.
across to that. But then the following year, when you got to the final, you got to the semis.
Semis.
You were playing St Andrews in the semis.
No, we played on St Andrews in the group.
Yeah. You got put out of the group.
The last group game was
had
against
to
St Andrews,
beat
and we had to beat St Andrews to go through.
Well, I had actually was getting off to go down. I got the next day off. I spoke to the boss, and he said, "Yeah, that's okay." And
I know. I was getting in the car to go.
You were packed, and Mary was going, and we were ready to go.
I couldn't believe it.
We lost St Andrews, and that was that. I mean,
That was
so
disaster.
after missing the year you
Year
won,
before.
I was all set to get down the next year to see it,
Yeah.
and we never got out of the yard. Like that was it. We were,
That was a disaster.
You've seen, you've then pretty much seen all the highs and lows. We'll start with the lows. The relegation, they've been tough. They've been.
again. I mean that again. I toned it down on the way in. I mean those 2 years where you played UCD, and you lost to them to be relegated.
Yeah.
Was horrendous because all the years that you played in the UCD in the All Ireland League, you haven't been far short.
No, it's such a tough league.
It's tough.
Yeah.
And there were some
There's a
great
goal
results, and
there was even, I remember the year 3-3 against Pembroke, and they missed a stroke last minute. Like that would have given us that.
There's
Yeah.
loads of
What
things
if we
like that.
kept, like, you could look at every
could-
point.
absolutely.
There's so many,
and
but
then every team would do the same.
yeah,
And then the year you played them to go up,
yeah,
and it was a nightmare. I mean, because you went 2-0 down.
yeah. It was just that was Cookstown start. That's straight away 2-0 down. This is
2-0
Cookstown
down,
all over.
I thought, no, here we go again.
Straight away, I was like, here we go.
And then you went ahead,
Yeah.
and then they come back. I mean, this was
Yeah.
on the club Facebook not so long ago. When we
Yeah, I
watched
put it up
again.
actually. The
I
highlights.
was actually nervous watching it
I don't
again.
even watch it again. I was like, oh, here we
And then
go,
we
2-0.
got 3-all, and then you scored to make it 4-3, and that was brilliant.
Yeah.
I'd really say that was the loss to UCD was nearly the worst I've ever felt after a hockey match.
Yeah, that was the one where as soon as we lost for a couple of weeks after, I was even questioning, just that's me now.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Yeah, because that was nearly the worst I've ever felt,
'Cause
and then the win was nearly the best I've ever felt.
yeah.
Like
that's
it was both. It was just
Then again, that's why you play sport.
Yeah,
That's why you
yeah.
love it. It's just that's where you want Cookstown to be at that level.
yeah.
No, that's where you need to be. You want to be at the top table, like you have to.
Yeah.
You have to be. And I say, well, we haven't been. We're not far short, and even the last time we got relegated, that was probably, I think that was our best season, probably.
Yeah.
Because we had some great results, and then a couple of games that just,
The last few.
we'd lost games later on and stuff like that there, and dropped dropped silly points, you know.
But that's something I love about Cookstown Hockey Club. When you're winning, you're winning with the ones from the town. Like the time it was everyone from. There's 20 boys from Cookstown and Stephen McCartney from Coleraine. There's 20 men and a Coleraine man. Like that's why you play. That's why you love the clubhouse here. That's why you love it. It's just we rely on Cookstown High School, the feeder, and that's it. And you can see such a small town. You look now next week, Amesy and Sloaner, like boys like that, Marty, yourself, players who have came through and went on and played it, and you come back to we're just a wee town here in Mid-Ulster, and we keep churning out very good hockey players.
If you think of the players that the club has lost over the last 10 years, you know, you go back to Collie Donaldson, Tommy Smith, you know, obviously Ames, Bestie, two Ames, two Sloans, you know. It's mad. You think if you had those boys all playing for the club now, you'd be winning all-round leagues. You know, it's just incredible. But that's just again that's the way it is. And then we don't attract people because we're too far up the road. Nobody's going to come from Belfast or Lisburn to train in Cookstown, you know.
That's the problem. I think that's why when you get those highs, that's why it is so good that you've worked hard as a group.
It's all of us.
As a team. It's just all the friends. Just there's that photograph of me, you, Tomo, and Johnny after that UCD win, and it's just pure joy.
No, that was. That's what you play for.
And other clubs aren't really like that.
A lot of clubs. The only other one sort of Rafo. I think it's once you come back this way, you're in bother. So. We'll get a few Rafo boys on the way through, just.
The annoying thing is they're even going past us to go to Banbridge.
Just wave at us on the way past. But that'll do us. Good chatting to these boys, and we'll keep her lit for next season, get us back into the EY. So that'll do us. Thank you.
Thanks,
Greg.